the demons in Krishna's Vrindavan Leela and the anatas they represent. I hope last night you found it interesting. Putana. The second demon killed by Krishna, as described at least in Srimad Bhagavatam, is Shakatasura. There may well have been more. In fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in one of the purports, in the 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada is talking about these different demons and Krishna killing them and all these things. And Srila Prabhupada makes the point that particularly when Krishna was going out on a daily basis and herding the cows, the calves initially, then after some time the cows. So Prabhupada makes the point, every day at least one demon was coming, and generally two. And Krishna was fighting with them and killing them every day for some years. It's amazing, isn't it? So they're not all described in the Bhagavatam, but the main ones are. So Prabhupada explains that every day, by the arrangement of Yoga Maya, Krishna's internal potency, excuse me, and Krishna's Leela Shakti, pastime potency, every day, just before lunch, a demon would come. Every day. And then there'd be big battle and very dramatic. And the cowherd boys would be shouting, "Go, Krishna!" and things like this. And Krishna would kill the demon. The demigods would shower flowers. And then one cowherd boy would say, "It's time for lunch." And this happened every day. Kill a demon, it's just like a signal. Lunch break now. And Prabhupada makes the point that if that demon had not come to interrupt their normal activities of playing and herding the cows, then they would not have stopped for lunch. Because you know what children are like sometimes. They don't want to eat. They just want to carry on playing, doing whatever they're doing. At least I've witnessed this on many occasions. And the parents have to somehow get them to eat something, and then a couple of minutes later eat another mouthful, and it's a whole process. So they were having so much fun, enjoying their playing and their pastimes with Krishna. They would not have stopped for lunch. So therefore, Purnamasi, who's Yoga Maya, the Leela Shakti, she arranged every day, without fail, like clockwork. At that time, a demon would come, Krishna would kill the demon. It's time for lunch. And then after lunch, they'd carry on playing, herding the cows, but mainly playing, really. Mainly playing. And then every late afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock or so, another demon would come. Another demon, second demon. And Krishna would kill that demon. And then that was also like a signal, time to go home. And Prabhupada makes the point that if it hadn't been for that, they would never have gone home. because they were just having too much fun playing with Krishna. It was just too wonderful. So yes, these then are the special demons that are described in the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. And what you're being given now, this is the basis of what I explained at the beginning yesterday. A list of all the demons, and with them the particular anathas they represented. And I don't know, but there may be some more information coming. Swetadweep Prabhu may provide some more. I think we've given him some more. And this is just really for your reference. We already went through it yesterday. All the demons and the anathas they represent in very simple terms. Today we're going to go on to Shakat Asur. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So this demon then, Prabhupada makes mention in one of the purports there, that he came when Krishna was about 3 months old. He still can't even crawl, but Prabhupada describes there that he would regularly slant his body. He wanted to roll over and crawl and start moving around. He would slant his body. Do you remember doing that? They used to do that back then? Try and roll over?
Yeah.
Okay. See? Can't even remember. It's amazing, isn't it? How we forget. So Krishna was trying to do that. And when a child just begins starting to do that, trying to roll over, to begin crawling, then, according to Vedic custom, Vedic tradition, they would have a festival. They would have so many festivals. It's not like in the Western world, where the only festival really is birthday and Christmas. But Christmas just means, people get drunk a lot and do all sorts of nonsense and have a holiday. But in Vedic culture, there's all these different special events in a person's life, and they're acknowledged and noted and celebrated with different festivals, like the first grains. Did you give them first grains?
Yes, ma'am.
Who fed them first grains?
Indijinda Swami.
Really?
Yes, and Shaman Prabhu.
Ah.
And Govinda Maharaj.
Oh, okay. You remember that? Oh, you do? Oh, you don't? Okay, one remembers, one doesn't. And first hair cutting. Did you do first hair cutting?
I can't actually remember that one. There's so many samskaras.
You did, eh?
Actually, yes.
The same day.
Oh, the
Yes,
same
yes, the same
day.
That's right, yes.
Did they have long hair? Or just...
No.
Because some parents let their boys' hair grow really long. Really long, I know a few. So, oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so you get all these festivals and samskars, and they are particularly, well, the main ones are called samskars, and they are there to note a transition from one stage of life to the next, but to note it in such a way that you get off, you could say, to a good start on the right foot in the next phase. You just get into it like that. Yeah, so there then, well, and you know, there's so many of these things. There's so many that you can practically have a festival every day. Yeah. It's all very colourful, bright, full of life, vitality and joy. It really is. So anyway, they had a special ceremony called Uttana, which is performed when a child is due to leave the house for the first time, taken out of the house. Then the child is properly bathed. So Prabhupada says, just after Krishna turned 3 months, Mother Yashoda celebrated the ceremony with other women of the neighborhood. Yes, so they had this celebration, and you may have seen in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, in the pictures, there's a famous picture, beautiful picture, of the ceremony before the demon came, the actual ceremony as such. And you know that picture? There's, the Brahmins are sitting at the back. There's a group of ladies, sort of like in their 20s, 30s, that sort of age. And Mother Yashoda is holding baby Krishna, and there's a big bowl. You know the one? They're doing the bathing ceremony. And they, in those special ceremonies, they would do Abhishek, Panchamrita or Panchagavya, either or both. Panchamrita means, well, 5 nectars. Milk, then yogurt, then ghee, then honey, and then sugar water. Like a syrupy water, actually. Not just little sweet, but really syrupy water. And then, so those are 5 nectars. And then just plain water. And Panchagavya, well, what is it? There's milk, yogurt, cow urine, cow dung, and something else. Anyway, 5 Panchagavya, 5 things from the cow. And this they did. And they didn't consider it's a waste, you know. You know what human society is like now. Of course, we don't want to waste things, but it's nice to use nice things, particularly for the worship of the Lord. We see pictures of Krishna, and, well, we don't have here of Krishna as a child, but we see pictures of Krishna as a child with beautiful jewelry, gold, and gems, very valuable by today's standards. It's like what your wives wore on their wedding days, you know, some special. But here's little Krishna is wearing it every day. And Krishna was preschool. So preschool children, they don't know the value of things. And Krishna, preschool, he was actually not wearing any clothes. And he didn't, and it's just the practice. And at that stage, the child doesn't have any real sort of sense of what is, what isn't, and what's valuable, not valuable, like that. But still they would dress them, or rather decorate them, with valuable gems. Can you imagine it? If you have a little child putting things like that on. If the little children wore things like that, what did the ladies wear? Oh yeah. And not just plastic trinkets from Shanghai with some fake gold, shiny, like a micron thin little layer over the plastic. So yes, so they considered it nice to, and they would bathe people sometimes with these things, milk, yogurt, ghee, and they wouldn't think, oh, we're wasting it. We could be using it, it's valuable. They had so much of these things. There was so much natural opulence. Huge amount of natural opulence. But nowadays, there's not really. It's difficult. So everyone gathered and they did this bathing ceremony for Krishna. And everyone was so happy. And the Brahmins were there chanting mantras. And the ladies were singing and shouting out, Jai! And ululating. You know how to ululate, ladies? We will not embarrass you. I'm trying to press you to do it. But they were ululating, and it was just like this joyful atmosphere. Amazing. Celebratory atmosphere. So after the bathing ceremony was completed, they dried off Krishna, and then Mother Yashoda was moving around as the hostess, meeting the guests and the Brahmins and everybody. But she felt it was difficult for her carrying Krishna around the whole time. So what she did after a while, like we mentioned yesterday, the house was not like your houses of today. It was built around a courtyard. So Mother Yashoda took Krishna out into the courtyard. In the courtyard was a big cart full of food for life pots. Serious pots. Real serious pots. And all other implements and things for cooking and whatnot on a large scale. So there was this cart then, just sitting there. Mother Yashoda put Krishna under the cart, and she just put him down and left him. And Krishna, of course, Krishna is very attached to his devotees, and particularly devotees like Mother Yashoda. And when Krishna is being carried around by his mother, it is just the most secure position and safe and just wonderful. So Krishna was so happy being carried by his mother that when she put him down, Krishna panicked. Do you remember being carried by your mother? I don't remember either. Up to what age did you carry him?
Maybe up to about 18 months.
I see. And then he had to fend for himself.
Well, he was walking then, Maharaj, but always crying for the mother.
Okay, anyway. So, Mother Yashoda, Krishna's there feeling so safe and happy and comfortable and loved. And suddenly, bang, he's on the ground, lying on his back. And don't forget, he cannot even turn over. He's just, when he's on his back, and that's it. And then his mother's gone. And he's in this kind of dark place, little bit dark place, under this cart, which is, on an angle just above his head. So Krishna got very disturbed, transcendentally. Not like we get disturbed. We get angry, we get frustrated, and sometimes it happens to everyone. So when Krishna gets angry, it's not like that. It's a different mood. So Krishna got angry and wanted to call his mother, and why did you leave me here? But she had gone to look after the guests. And then Krishna, lying on his back, started kicking his little legs, 3-month-old legs. Kicking, just flailing them around and shouting. And you know what happened? He kicked the cart. And when Krishna kicked the cart, it was like the cart exploded, practically. Everything just went flying into the air. The cart itself just broke into pieces. One wheel went that way, another wheel went flying off the other way. And it just broke into little pieces that all just scattered around. And these huge pots, real food for life pots, big, hefty metal pots, they went flying into the air and then came crashing down. What a racket! What a dramatic scene. And Mother Yashoda had not heard Krishna crying and shouting, but she heard this. And everybody heard this. What a scene. So everyone came running out. Everyone came running out and saw this scene of extreme devastation. Interesting point. Shakatasura. Shakat means cart. Shakat Asura literally means cart demon. So Prabhupada says two things. Prabhupada says that the cart may have been a form of Shakatasura. So when Krishna kicked the cart, then this killed the demon who was in the form of the cart and just smashed him to pieces. Another thing Srila Prabhupada says is that the demon may have been on the cart, even perhaps in a subtle form, like not visible to ordinary eyes, or maybe hiding. amongst the pots and things. So that's another possibility. But one way or the other, when Krishna kicked that cart, the demon was killed and just smashed. So everyone came running out. What is going on? There were some other children there. They had seen this. And now Mother showed the other parents, and everyone was there, and seeing this devastation. They're asking, what happened? Did you see it? Yes, I saw it. Krishna kicked the cart, and the cart smashed. That's what happened. And all the adults thought, what? Krishna kicked the cart and it smashed? No, that's not possible. It must have been something else. Was there a bolt of lightning? Or what happened? Did some, what do they call them, Al-Qaeda terrorists come and do a suicide bombing? What happened? And the children, in a very straightforward way, like, this is the situation. They said, no, Krishna killed the cat. Krishna kicked the cat. Yeah, that's what happened. Cart got smashed. It was Krishna. And the parents thought, no, not possible. How could Krishna do that? But still, it's the fact that Krishna did that. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports there, he refers to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on one of those verses. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes very interesting, and it's, you could say, a very rasika point. It's a very intimate point. It's also a very beautiful point. He says, this is proof that Krishna is not just God, but the original supreme form of God. Not just another form of God, one of many, but Krishna is that special, unique, and only one original form from whom all the others have come, and he therefore is greater than them and more powerful than them. And he explains it in a very nice way. He says that when Hiranyakashipu came, he was a powerful demon, and the Lord had to appear in the form of Nrsingadev, and there was big battle, and eventually Nrsingadev killed him, but it took some time. The demigods were watching, and they were wondering what's going to happen, who's going to win, what will the result be. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that when Lord Ram came, then he had to fight with Ravana. And what a battle that was. It went on for days. And millions of people died before they got Ravan, before Ram was able to kill Ravan. And apparently it wasn't so easy. But here in this case, Krishna, he's not even fully grown. He's only 3 months old. So little, delicate child's body. But still he was so powerful. With one kick, the demon got smashed to pieces. So just see, Krishna is more powerful. More powerful than Lord Nrsingadev. more powerful than Lord Ram. They had to go through, some major effort before they killed their respective demons. So he says, this is proof. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original form of the personality of Godhead. So anyway, of course it's not really that Lord Nrsingadev struggled to kill Hiranyakashipu. It wasn't a struggle. He was playing a game. And similarly with Lord Ram. Prabhupada explains about Lord Ram. We mentioned it a few years ago, you might remember, in our Ram Katha. Do you remember that? That Lord Ram, he could have, because he is within the heart of every living entity, including Ravan. He's right there. And if Lord Ram had wanted to, he could have simply turned off the switch to Ravana's heart. And it would have been good night, Ravana. And similarly with Lord Nrsingadev, he could have killed Hiranyakashipu just with a flick of one claw. Hiranyakashipu would have gone flying into outer space. So it's just the Leela, the pastime. But still, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains it in that way. It's very, very nice. So the children, they were sticking by their story. It was Krishna. That's what happened. And the parents, they couldn't understand. So they just said, oh, well, okay, at least he's alive. Mother Yashoda called the Brahmins, and they put tilak on Krishna's body in 12 places, using the mantras. You use the mantras when you put on tilak? Om Narayanaya Namaha. Like that, you don't? Anyway, everyone should use the mantras, because you're invoking those particular forms of the Lord in the different places of your body and to protect you. That's what tilak is for. Tilak. It's for protection. Yeah. So she had them put on special tilak with special mantras. And then they did different ceremonies. They cleaned Krishna with like a chamara, the tail of a cow. They cleaned Krishna. And then Krishna sucked on his mother's breast. And when he did that, then they understood everything's okay. Because when the child is being fed by the mother, that's the best of the best positions for a child. So like this. Like this dramatic pastime happened, and there was the dead body of this demon just all broken up. Amazing. So now, we mentioned last night, well, it mentions there, that Shakatasura represents the anartha of carrying loads from the past, like old habits. Old habits die hard. Old conceptions, just old ideas. And old practices from the past, which, when you become Krishna conscious, they fall away. You don't have to do them any longer. Like, I think it was Madhavendra Puri, there's a prayer a poem of his, or anyway, it was one of the great acharyas. Now that I've become Krishna conscious, now I say goodbye to my demigod worship. I say fare thee well to my certain prayers I used to recite. I say fear nalenge, see you later, to certain other practices. Yes. Now I've taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. I don't need these things any longer. So everyone, when they come to Krishna consciousness, they bring with them certain baggage from before, carried in. And that's just the way it is. It's not, we're not trying to criticize anyone at all. It's just, that's the way it is, it's the way it must be. Because we've all come from some sort of past, in some cases more pious, in some less, and in this way and that, and in some cases Indian, European, African, or Chinese, or something like that. We were in Mayapur some years ago actually, and the first group of Chinese devotees came from mainland China. Already devotees have been from Hong Kong. Many. In fact, there's one disciple of Prabhupada from Hong Kong, Chinese. But now these are Chinese people from mainland China. And just to get permission to go out of China, wow, what a yagya. But they got it. And they had to make up these stories that we're going on a business trip. So anyway, there they were. But they're devotees, and really serious devotees. So there they were with all the other devotees. It's the Mayapur festival. And we all sit there in the morning and chant japa. And so there they are, they're chanting very seriously, chanting their rounds on their beads. But then some of us heard that when they were chanting in a special Chinese way, Chinese pronunciation. Because, different cultures have different pronunciations. In Russia, not always, but in quite a number of cases, the devotees pronounce Krishna as Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's just a way of pronouncing. And anyway, in China, they don't have the letter, apparently, R, but they use L. So all these devotees were chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Lama, Lama, Hare Hare. Basically like that. And some of the other devotees heard and thought, wow, hey, what's going on here? And there was a discussion. Should something be done about it? Should they take some elocution lessons, some pronunciation lessons? So they would chant Hare Krishna. But then, as the discussions evolved, the devotees decided, no, it's not necessary. Because everyone could see that these people, previously of course they were not devotees, but now they're devotees, and they were becoming very nice devotees. Means the process of which the chanting is the first and main part, the process was working. It was working. In other words, Krishna was accepting. So we left it. Yeah. So, but anyway, one way or the other, everyone brings some baggage. What do they say? Every saint has a past. Every saint has a past. But we don't look back at that. We don't. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. So anyway, but it happens that some of those old habits and ideas and things we're attached to from the past and just all that sort of stuff, some of these things nag at us. And we feel we would like sometimes to do some of them again. It happens. This is not unusual. At least some idea comes in of what we used to do in the good old days before we were Hare Krishna devotees. So this is what Shakatasura represents. Yeah. So of course, we don't want to remain attached to the past and fascinated by the un-Krishna conscious past and still interested in the old materialistic activities. We don't want to be like that. We want to break free from the past and just dive into the ocean of nectar of Krishna consciousness. But all this baggage is there, this load from the past. And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says just abandon all types of dharma and actually just abandon everything and just surrender to me. Just take shelter of me and I'll deliver you from all your sinful reactions. Yes, so we should do that. And actually, the fact is, we don't, if we have faith in Krishna and don't worry, like it happens, some people think, some devotees think, that we have to still carry on doing certain prayers, for example, from the past. Some demigod worship or, some porridge prayers. Do they do porridge prayers in the Tamil community? We have to still continue doing these things because, maybe Krishna, if we surrender to him completely, maybe he won't help us. Maybe he'll just leave us and we'll just be stuck with nothing. But we should learn to depend on Krishna and take shelter of Krishna and not worry and try and give up the conceptions and so on and not worry too much. Krishna will look after us. If we give up the past and embrace Krishna and a future in Krishna consciousness, Krishna, well, you know the verse 9:22, Bhagavad Gita? Any Bhagavad Gita scholars? Any Bhakti Shastris here? Okay, yeah. Ananyas chintayanto mam, ye jana pariupasate, tesham nitya biyuktanam, yogic shemam vahamyaham. Krishna says that for the devotee who simply remembers me and meditates on me within the heart and really tries to dedicate themselves to me, then Krishna says, I carry to them what they lack and I preserve what they have. In other words, Krishna looks after his devotee. And we should try to cultivate that type of faith in Krishna and not maintain faith in whatever from the past, pre-Krishna consciousness. Yeah. And there's a very nice story in this regard. Very nice story. How Krishna carries what we lack and looks after the devotees. And so we can just place ourselves in Krishna's hands. There's a very nice story told by Srila Prabhupada himself. Story of one devotee from South India called Arjuna Acharya. Actually, we've probably told the story here because it's such a wonderful story. That there was this devotee, Arjuna Acharya, in South India, and every day he would read the Bhagavad Gita, and I mean not just one verse, and not even just one chapter. He would actually read the whole Bhagavad Gita every day. Just the verses, not the purports. So he would do that every day. It would take some hours. So he loved Bhagavad Gita. However, there was one verse that he just couldn't understand, and he didn't accept, and he thought it may be wrong, in that he thought maybe someone changed it. Because he just thought, what is being said here could not be right. And it was this verse, 9:22, that Krishna, Vahami is the word, I carry. Krishna personally carries to the devotee what the devotee lacks, and Krishna personally protects what the devotee has and just protects the devotee. So this Arjuna Acharya, he thought, no, it can't be like that. Krishna's God. Why does he have to go running around carrying things and delivering them? Oh, my devotee needs this. Let me race over and supply him with it. Oh, my devotee is about to lose something. Let me run over and protect. So this Arjuna Acharya, he thought, no, it can't be like that. He thought, probably what is the situation is that Krishna causes it to happen. Krishna causes it through some other agent. He tells someone, just go and take Swetadweep Prabhu some bhoga. He needs to cook. And so the devotee rolls up at the temple. Oh, I brought some food. So this is what he thought. Through some agent, Krishna causes it to happen. So what he did, because he was not working on a computer, he couldn't just backspace over the word, and he didn't have a rubber. It was written on a piece of tree bark. He took a knife and he actually cut the word out, physically removed it. And in its place, he wrote the word karomi, I cause it to happen. So according to him, it became Tesham nitya biyuktanam yogikshemam karomyaham. It rhymes. And he thought, that's it, I got it. Off he went, because they were very poor. Every day he would go out to beg food, and that's just how they would live. So off he went to beg. And his wife was waiting for him to come back with some food. There was a knock on the door. She opened the door. There were two boys. One very dark-skinned boy, very dark, and one very white-skinned boy, like white. And these two boys, Prabhupada is describing, they had between them, resting on their shoulders, and hanging between them from their shoulders, was a bamboo pole, and hanging from the middle of the bamboo pole was a big basket full of vegetables and ghee and spices and dairy products and fruits and all these things. And the boys, the dark-skinned boy, he told the wife, we met Arjunacharya down in the market, and he was asking for food. And we said, no problem. We've got all this food here. We'll take it to your house. And here we are. Here we are, and here's the food, and take it. So the wife took it, and then she said, it's so kind of you. It's just amazing. Please come in, sit down, and I'll cook a big feast. And when my husband comes back in a little while, we'll all have a feast together. The dark-skinned boy said, no, I'm not waiting till your husband gets back. I'm going. I don't want to see your husband. And the wife was surprised. Why, what's the problem with my husband? And the black-skinned boy, very dark-skinned boy, he said, there I was telling him, we'll take it to your house. And you know what he did? He hit me on the back, hard. And he cut my back. Look. And the dark-skinned boy turned his back to the wife, and she saw these nasty cuts on his back. Your husband did this. There I was offering to deliver it personally, and he attacked me like that. So I'm going. Goodbye. And they left. The two boys left. And a little later, Arjunacharya returned, and he saw there's his wife cooking a big feast with all these nice ingredients. And he said, what happened? Where did this all come from? And she said, you know, that black-skinned boy, that white-skinned boy, you met them in the market, and they said they'd bring everything. Well, they did, see? And the Arjunacharya is bewildered. What dark-skinned boy? What white-skinned boy? I didn't meet any boys like that. And she said, and that one very dark-skinned boy, he was offering to bring it himself personally, and you hit him on the back. How could you do that? And Arjunacharya is completely bewildered. I didn't meet any dark-skinned boy. And the wife said, still, that those boys were so nice. Despite what you did, they still brought all these things. Aren't they just such wonderful boys? So Arjunacharya, his head was spinning completely. And then he just happened to look at that page, which was still sitting there, because he had just cut it out and written his speculation. And then he looked at it, and then he remembered, he realized, oh, Bhagavad Gita is the form of Krishna. It's not just some words, some philosophy. It's actually Krishna's body. He's present in the Bhagavad Gita personally. And I was so bad. I cut his body. What sort of person am I? Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Sundar Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhakadevi Ki Jai. What sort of person am I? I abused the Lord like this. But the Lord is so kind that still He brought everything personally. And then He went up to His wife and He offered His obeisances to His wife. I think it was your devotion that brought the Lord. And then He went running through the streets of the town, running and shouting out, Vahami! Vahami! Means I carry, I carry. And everyone was wondering, what happened to Arjuna Acharya? So Prabhupada tells the story, it's very nice. And he's making the point that we don't need to depend on material circumstances and be attached to the old things. Just let go. Take shelter of Krishna. Krishna will look after us all. Just like, take me as an example. I retired. Dr. Vallabh is not even retired yet. I retired when I was 21. I have not worked for 40 years. Yeah. In fact, I just moved into the temple in London 40 years ago on Monday that just passed, 7th of January 1973. And look at me, I haven't died of starvation yet. You see? And I travel the world. You know, you don't travel like I travel, which is good for you actually. Oh yeah. And how is that? It's by Krishna's mercy. And the problem is not lack of food. The problem is too much food. That's the danger. I have to have special, everything measured, so I don't have too much. Yes, so just see, if we depend on Krishna, He'll look after us. He'll carry our load. And one devotee suggested once, again it's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions, that, you know, the devotee is serving Krishna so much that the devotee doesn't have time to look after himself. Where's food and where's this and where's that? The devotee doesn't have time. And Krishna has to provide. So the devotee, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, suggests that the devotee may think, maybe this is really a sign of a lack of real devotion. Now we're serving Krishna very busily, trying to please Him, but then we're forcing Him to look after us. He shouldn't have to do that. He should just accept our service. So maybe it would be better if we looked after ourselves, and then whatever time is left over, we'll use that time for serving Krishna. That would be more considerate of Krishna. But then Krishna responds that no, I like to do this. I don't do it because I have to or something like that. I do it because I want to. And he says, just like a father looks after his family, and he doesn't consider the children a liability, you know, they're so expensive to maintain and they're not bringing any money in at all. He doesn't think like that. But he wants the best for his children. And he's willing to sacrifice and pay so the children get the best. So Krishna feels the same way towards the devotees. The best for the devotees. And he's willing to make that effort. And he enjoys it. It is his happiness, his joy. It's his joy to look after the devotees. So those are some thoughts on Shakatasura. I'm going to quickly go on and describe briefly the pastime of Trinavarta and say a couple of words about that, not so much. And then, well, we'll see how we're doing. So now, Trinavarta is the whirlwind demon. He represents the anartha of becoming blinded by the dust of mental speculation. People speculate this and that. God is this, God is that, God is whatever. I'm God, you're God, we're all God, there is no God. God is dead. God is a man, God is a woman, God is an animal. People speculate. Yeah, people speculate. And it sounds good to your average person who may not have such a quick brain and not be so philosophically minded. They may be impressed and they may think, oh yes, we should follow these people. But actually they're just becoming blinded by mental speculation and losing sight of the truth. Because in this pastime, Mother Yashoda was carrying Krishna. Suddenly Krishna became extremely heavy, like the whole universe. And she was forced to put him down. She just couldn't manage and carry on with her household duties. And then Trinavarta came. It was the arrangement of the Lord he assumed that heavy weight. Because when Trinavarta came, he picked up Krishna very easily. And then he manifested this form or whatever of this gigantic whirlwind like a big tornado. And there was so much dust. Mother Yashoda couldn't see Krishna. So she's groping around and crying out. But she couldn't find Krishna. She couldn't see her hand in front of her face. So Trinavarta, in this whirlwind form, picked up Krishna and took him into the sky. You know how far? 1.25 million kilometers. 100,000 yojanas, 800,000 miles into the sky. And actually, Krishna was just sort of holding onto his neck. And this demon, his idea was, he was just going to kill Krishna. He had been sent by Kamsa. But Krishna was up there, looking down over Vraj Mandala from a long way up, and enjoying the view. Enjoying a little joyride. After a while, Krishna thought, no, I better kill this demon. He's just terrible. So Krishna, holding onto his neck, applied pressure. And then more pressure. And more pressure. And this Trinavarta realized, hey, I'm in trouble here. I got to get rid of this child. He tried to throw Krishna off. He couldn't do it. And then Krishna was squeezing more and more and more until Trinavarta suffocated. And Trinavarta fell from 1.25 million kilometers and landed on a rock. So you see again, there's a picture in some of the versions, more recent versions of the 10th canto, sometimes, of Trinavarta lying there on the ground. And you look at him and you can see he's really smashed, extremely badly. His eyes were bulging out and he's just total devastation. And there's little Krishna on his chest. And the whirlwind is gone. And everyone was happy. And as they say, they all lived happily ever after. So, yes, so this is nice pastime. He, like we said, he represents the anatha of becoming bewildered by philosophical speculations and mundane philosophical ideas. And because if we accept those, we become attached to those, then just like Mother Yashoda lost sight of Krishna in the whirlwind because of the dust, we'll lose sight of Krishna. And we'll start thinking, yes, I am this body. There is no God. And everything's just happening by chance. Or there was nothing. Then there was a big bang. And from the big bang came Port Elizabeth. Just as a direct result of this explosion. I don't think it makes good sense. So mental speculation will not help us. Pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayora tapi manaso muni pungavanam sopyastiyat prapadasim nyavyachintyasat tatve govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. Only the tips of the toes of whose lotus feet are approached by the yogis and jnanis, who travel for billions of years at the speed of the wind or the mind. So this process of mental speculation, this is Lord Brahma, of course from Brahma Samhita, by these yogis, jnanis and mental speculators, they agitate their minds, and it's like they travel at the speed of the mind. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta explains that even if you travel at the speed of the mind for hundreds of millions of years, speculating, trying to understand, figure out God, who am I? What is life? So even if you do that for hundreds of millions of years, traveling at the speed of the mind, still you will not come any closer to Krishna than when you started. Because even these yogis, they're very qualified people. They can only see, if they're lucky, the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of Govinda, Krishna. Yes. So therefore we shouldn't speculate. It's kind of connected, you could say, to what we were discussing last night. You know, we read from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Just take shelter of the spiritual master, accept what he says, serve him. Similar principle. Just hear from Shastra. Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya Chitte Te Kuriya Aikya. Make your chitta, your consciousness, your heart, Aikya, one with Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya. The words of the sadhus of Shastra, scripture, and one's spiritual master. Do like that. And then you won't be blinded. Let me just close by mentioning I don't know if you've read the Ishopanishad. Have you read the Ishopanishad? We could have had a seminar on it. Maybe some other time in the future. We just did in Durban. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. In Ishopanishad, at the end, the last 4 verses, the speaker is seeing the Brahmajyoti, the effulgence of the body of the Lord. And he's praying to the Lord, please remove your dazzling effulgence so I can see your form, which of course is behind the effulgence because it's the source of the effulgence. Yes, so we should take shelter of the Lord, pray to the Lord, read Prabhupada's books. And one of my godbrothers said that he tells his disciples, if they ever ask, can I read books other than Srila Prabhupada's? He says, well, it's possible. Come back and tell me after you've read all of Prabhupada's books 3 times. And then we'll see. Maybe. So if we stick with Srila Prabhupada like that, then we won't get blinded by all the mental speculations and lose sight of the beauty of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, what is our program?
Anybody has questions?
Any questions, comments, prashna, words of wisdom? What, you got some questions? You understood everything?
Yes.
You too? No questions? Understood everything? Okay. Bright boys. Yes.
Guru Maharaj, these demons that have been killed by the Lord, do they become liberated and what?
Yeah. Yes, these ones, like we read about Putana last night, she became a nurse in Goloka Vrindavan. And when you go there, you can meet her. So they all get liberated. Agasura, he went to Vaikuntha. He went to Vaikuntha and got what is called Sarupya Mukti, a liberation in which you have a form which looks just the same as Lord Narayan's. That's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. And the others, yes, they got liberated. Most of them went back to Godhead. Kamsa, of course, he was not in Vrindavan, he was in Mathura. But he was killed by the Lord. And he was liberated, but then he made a special guest appearance as the Kazi in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. He didn't have to. He could have just gone to Goloka Vrindavan. But he made special guest appearance. And then he went to Goloka Vrindavan, the Kazi, at the end of his life. So yeah, they get liberated. The demons killed by Krishna get liberated. The demons killed by other forms of the Lord, sometimes they're liberated. They're always benefited, but they're not always liberated. Like Hiranyakashipu, like Ravana. They didn't become liberated until Krishna killed them. Well, they became Shishupal in Krishna Lila. Jai and Vijay. Jai became Shishupal, Vijay became Dantavakra. But otherwise, demons killed by Krishna, they generally become liberated and often go back to Godhead.
And the Yamadutas, are they considered as demons even though the father is Lord Vivaswami?
they're not demons exactly. They're servants of Lord Yamaraj and they're associates of his. But they're very unusual characters. They're not demons. They're very heavy. They know their duty is to give the demons a hard time. And so they do that. They really shake them up and more. They smash them. Because it's their duty. They had to do it. They're Yamadutas. But they're associates of Yamaraj, personal associates. So, and he's a pure devotee. In the story of Ajamil, the Yamadutas, after being defeated in debate by the Vishnudutas, they went to Yamaraj and they spoke with him personally. We thought you were the supreme, therefore we serve you. But now it seems there may be someone who's higher than you. And Yamaraj said, yes, it's a fact. Yes.
I've heard that the demons have actually been made by Lord Krishna himself for his pleasure. Is this true?
No, not exactly. The demons are demons. There are certain demons who appear whenever Krishna appears. There's always a Trinavarta, there's always a Shakatasura. But different living entities are placed in those bodies. But it's not like they're just concoctions for the sake of pastimes. They're demons. They really are demoniac. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes?
Can I ask one more question? Within every living entity, and including human beings, we've got the demon within ourselves. And how does Krishna sometimes, or how can you explain to people or to devotees where the demonic nature actually supersedes or overcomes the goodness that the person has within themselves?
You mean a devotee?
Devotees or non-devotees, but
well, the thing is, our psychological makeup is very complex. Yeah. And we have good points and bad points. Everybody. Even Hiranyakashipu was very affectionate to Prahlad until he understood that Prahlad was a devotee. But he would pick up Prahlad and embrace him and cry. So, he had some goodness in him. But yes, we have two sides to us, a good side and a bad side. And under certain circumstances, at least if you talk about ordinary people, if the mode of goodness is more predominant, the better side will come out. If the mode of ignorance becomes more predominant, they'll become more unpleasant. We used to have very interesting experiences when we would distribute books in Ireland. The people are very pious and sattvic and charitable. They're very charitable. But in the evening, at least the men, they all get drunk. They all go to the pub, they all get drunk and sort of roll home, sometimes literally. So we would sometimes meet, the same person we met during the day who was so nice and gave a donation and took a book, but now we meet them drunk in the evening. And it's like you met a monster, another person. They just shout at you and swear at you. So it's because the demon and the devotee, or it's because for people on the material level, it's because they have elements of goodness in them, elements of passion and elements of ignorance. And it just depends on how things are, what aspect of their nature is predominant at any given point in time. And the devotees, well, like we said, every saint has a past. We all have our histories. And sometimes the mind goes back and thinks of these things. So sometimes even devotees fall down and even leave Krishna consciousness just because those old desires, they became too strong, and then the devotee gets carried away. Yeah. But if we continue in the process of devotional service, then that lower nature gradually becomes cleansed, step by step. Cleansed away and doesn't return. It's not just like with a materialistic person. They have their good days and their bad days. But devotees, when a materialistic person has a good day, you might think, oh, he's changed. But don't worry, he's going to have a bad day soon too. And then you'll think, oh, okay, it's the same old him. But with devotees, they actually improve. And if at least serious devotees improve permanently and continuing, ongoing improvement. Yeah. Okay. What should we do? Just a little kirtan? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Don't you think